want you to know this is leaving me totally exposed in every conceivable way. I'm already being razzed and I haven't even started. The cab is right outside waiting to whisk me away at the end of this. I received inspiration, maybe some of you have seen the Jewish rap fellow, Jewish Orthodox guy, he wears the black hat, all the black garments. I figure if he can do it, I can do it. In fact, I am testimony to the fact that anyone can do rap. All right, there isn't really a tune here, but feel free to clap at any point. If you sense a beat somewhere. Pick it up in midstream. I know I'm going to live to regret this, but anyway. Here we go. We ready, James? Roll it. Hear me, friends, and don't turn me off. I realize I'm not the usual prof. Rarely will you see a professor like me recount Paul's Romans in a rap symphony. I rap not for me, but for the trip being rock. That's Jesus Christ, and you can call me Snoop Dogg. It's a romance rap. It's a romance rap. You might not know it, but it's a layered trap. Just when you think that you're off the hook, God's righteousness makes you take a second look. There's only one real way that you can boast. Put your boast in God or end up as toast. I'm going to jump in here at any time. Paul makes clear that he works like a priest. He offers up Gentiles, not a brute beast. Obedience of faith is the name of the game. The fruit of holiness by any other name. Sharing his gift is what he's gonna do. Proclaiming the gospel to the Romans too. The renewal of the mind, not to the age conform. Rather by the gospel be fully transformed. He starts by saying that he's not ashamed of the gospel. You know God's power to claim every life that holds no rightness of its own, but rests instead of Christ's death to atone. The righteousness of God, best story ever told. God's faithfulness and truth to promises of old. God sent his very Son just to make amends for the universal sin that you know offends. First he trapped the Gentile, then he trapped the Jew. Look out, bro and sis, the next trap for you. Gentiles suppressing the truth in creation. In God's eyes, that's a big abomination. Ignoring God's power and great divinity, they worship human statues, embraced idolatry. God gave them over to their impurity as against nature. Censored. Net widening further to arrogance and greed. It's obvious to Jew. Gentiles are bad seed. But the Jew who judges is also without excuse. For to sin against the law is also an abuse. Though he might sin less and less egregiously, he knows more than others. That's plain for him to see. And though he has the law and the sign of circumcision, these things won't save him. They give him no exemption. Christians who read this and think they get a pass, you say you know Christ. Wait, not so fast. Just because you're forgiven, you say, why not sin? But if sin is your Lord, you're not going to win. Jesus, you know, is raised from the dead, and you're baptized into Jesus as your head. So if you live so that sin is your Lord, the wages of sin will be your reward. Let's remember this, there's not one like a four. Law of the mind wants the law of God more. But then the law of sin comes knocking at the door. Result of all that is I lose the whole war. So there's a fourth law, it's really needed now. The gift of the Spirit that empowers you somehow. It's true not just for the other guy but you. Two ways still, I'll tell you what to do. One way leads to life, the other leads to death. Like when you kill the sinful deeds of flesh, mouthing the confession that Jesus is my Lord, when not led by Spirit, won't keep you on board. Now let's all return to bragging in how good God and Christ were when we were strangers stood. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. Do you think now He'll throw you under the bus? Nothing outside you and all material creation can separate you from God's love and nation. Echo from my share. But how could God be right if most of Israel was lost? Did He save the world at such a horrible cost? Let's get one thing straight. It's not God's fault, the Messiah whom God sent. They did not exalt. Yet that does not mean that God is through with them. No, God will remove the hardness that condemns. First, the fullness of the Gentiles must come in. Then comes the fullness of Israel, God's friend. Stop to think, Gentiles, how easy it would be to remove your wild branches from the olive tree. So don't boast over Israel, but just remember this. God can restore the myth. In unbelief, they don't persist. It took me a long time to come up with it. There's more that could be said to you, Paul's pupils. Instead, I'll push on now to an issue of Jewish scruples. Fighting in Roman churches over meat and calendar. Don't you guys get it? The adiaphora. Matters of indifference to the kingdom of God, which consists of righteousness, not pork or straw. Now don't misunderstand. We're not talking about sex. Immorality must be cast off or face a train wreck. But things that don't matter, please just leave alone and focus on how God welcomed you in His home. United praise of God for pouring out His grace. That's the surest way for the church to run the race. We want something better than a lottery. By divine design, on chance I think you'll agree. Now I've told my tale of Romans and rap. It's far from perfect, I'm an ordinary chap. But God is wonderful, to Him doff your hat. Who'd have ever guessed God would do all that? So glory be to God, who is the King of Kings, for from Him, and through Him, and to Him are all things.